Hi, it's Josh McEwen here with episode 30 of Dufferin Spotlight on Business, where we bring your community to you by letting you know what's available in the area while highlighting the advantages of shopping local. And this week we are joined by Brandon Casey, the founder of Ill Gofer It, a local delivery service catering to those in Dufferin County and the surrounding area. Through Ill Gofer It, Brandon and his team will pick up and deliver anything you need, wherever you are in Dufferin. That's right, it's not just Orangeville that gets to experience this. This includes Shelburne, Grand Valley, Melancthon, Amaranth, Mulmur, and East Garafraxa. They even service Caledon, Erin, and Belfountain. I mean, a lot of us can't even get pizza delivered to our house, and here's somebody local making something happen that the big guys can't. Speaking of which, Ill Gofer It has another major advantage. In addition to getting what you want, where you want it in Dufferin and the surrounding area, Ill Gofer It doesn't take advantage of small businesses who are looking for ways to survive through the pandemic. Brandon has it set up so the customer pays for the delivery and not the business. Somehow, Brandon has figured out how to actually appropriately price the service, treating Ill Gofer It's partners fairly, and actually helping them through one of the toughest times in history. Something the big guys just haven't been able to figure out yet. It's pretty awesome that someone local is making things accessible to people in all areas of Dufferin while helping the small businesses we all love. Whether it's groceries, a meal from your favorite restaurant, a pack of playing cards, or a case of wine, Brandon and his team at Ill Gofer It can make it happen. Anyways, Brandon has some great stories which I know you'll enjoy, so we'll get to it. To learn more about Ill Gofer It, check out their website, illgoferit.ca, and follow them on social media. To place a delivery, just call or text 519-288-4654. That's 519-288-4654. Big thanks to Brandon for his time and for making this possible, and thanks to you, the audience, for listening. I'm Josh McEwen, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business. Thanks. So hi, it's Josh McEwen here with Dufferin Spotlight on Business, and today I'm joined by Brandon Casey of Ill Gofer It. Hi, Brandon. Thank you so much for joining me. Can we start off with you just giving us a brief background on yourself and your business for those who may not already know?
I guess I've been working different jobs for the last 22 years, and mostly in production and management positions. Worked my way up along the way, and then I always sort of did a delivery for like pizza places. I'd work my full-time job, and then on the side I would deliver pizza here local in Orangeville. And along the way, kind of developed this idea by answering the phones down at the local pizza place. Customers would say, hey, could you maybe pick me up something along the way with my pizza? So the wheels started turning, and I developed this idea that, maybe there's a lot more people out there that could possibly need extra stuff along the way, whether it be groceries or a pack of cigarettes, something from the LCBO or whatnot, and that this would be a really good business idea to network everything together like that and bring all people's needs to them, right?
100%. I mean, especially during the pandemic, I can see people really valuing this service.
I actually even thought of this idea probably about 8 years ago, and I was in a position where I was laid off, and through the government, they had a program that if you had an idea for a small business, they would back you on it and then give you another 50 weeks worth of benefits if they approved your idea. So they actually approved my idea about 8 years ago, before a lot of competition was even out there. But I approached family members and stuff like that for support, but everybody thought, yeah, it's a great idea, but we're not really interested in like jumping in on that level at this time. So then I kind of put the idea on hold and went and brushed up my resume and ended up working on a spinach farm for last 7 or 8 years. And then finally just got to the point where I was like, you know what, I really want to do this now, right? And it's time to finally chase something that I want to do, right? And I went to work every day and was just sort of, going through the motions, not feeling 100% fulfilled, like just sort of knew that I could do something more with my life and wanted to do something more like for the community and for others. And I guess as I did 2 jobs throughout my life, I kind of realized at that point, like, how was I able to do 2 jobs for so long, right? And I think the answer was that I liked doing the delivery part of it. So I could go and I could work my full-time job And at the end of the day, when I had to go on to the second job, it was more enjoyable doing this delivery service, right? Like, everybody's kind of happy to see you. You get to interact, and be social with the people, and sort of developed into like, okay, yeah, this is something I could do on a full-time basis because I enjoy being around people and helping them how I can, right?
Well, 100%, especially in our community. I mean, there's a lot of seniors. There's a lot of people that find it hard to get around, especially, I mean, you cover quite the service area from I understand too.
Yeah, we go into Shelburne, Grand Valley, Mona Mills, which is my hometown. So growing up in a hometown like Mona Mills, where there was only 400 people, it was kind of a need out there, right? So, and I guess, growing up in that small town, I knew that there was people who had that kind of need to only 15 kilometers out. But if you don't have a vehicle, then it's a thing, right?
100%. I mean, a similar situation. I'm in Grand Valley. I mean, we have a little bit here, but I mean, I can completely relate with how you have to travel like 15, like 20 minutes or 8, like it's 18 kilometers for us to get to town.
Yeah.
Like to go grab something.
And if you don't have a vehicle and there's just something at the local store that they don't provide, then it's just filling that need.
Again, like there's a lot of seniors in these communities and they shouldn't be pushed out to having to move to Orangeville or other places. And they should still be able to get all the things they need, even if they don't want to, or some of them can't drive.
Yeah, we have a bit of a good story about that. We're probably only 2 or 3 weeks into doing business, and we actually got a call from New York City. The girl down in New York City, her mother lives at the Montgomery retirement home, and it was her 90th birthday. And she asked if we would prepare like if we could do an LCBO pickup for her of I think 20 bottles of wine that she could share with everybody in the home. So like just 3 or 4 weeks into doing business, we got this call. So it was kind of like feel good moment, right, where we reached New York City and in just a few weeks of being in business, right? So
wow, that's awesome. That's great. That would have been a great thing to have, especially like that. That's an awesome story. Thanks for sharing.
Didn't think to reach that far when I started out, that's for sure, right? But
yeah, really, like there's a lot of small businesses that have been around for a lot longer that could only wish to hit that distance.
Yeah, so that was kind of neat. We were able to process or order over the phone and like through our mobile debit machines because we accept debit, credit, e-transfer, and things like that, which is good now that we do the e-transfer for contactless delivery. Makes it a little bit more safe for everybody if they choose that method of payment.
I think we can all appreciate that right now. Never mind, it's just a lot easier. I think, honestly, personally, in a lot of aspects, it just gets rid of that whole thing versus, again, having to do it in person. But yeah. I'll get into the question. So what do you think makes Ill Gofer It different from the competition?
We sort of try and be personal right from the get-go, right? I keep a tight communication with my customers, be open with them of our delivery times and whether it's something we can do immediately or it's going to take a little bit more time. We follow through on all our deliveries, and if the customers have complaints, we try and make amends and work it out right on the spot, right? And not take days to get it done.
There was something else I think that's worth mentioning is that like most of the other food delivery people or like other delivery people take a cut off the vendor side.
No, we just charge a modest delivery rate to the customer. We take nothing from the restaurants, whereas other companies, I think they take about 30% off of the restaurant owners themselves, right? So that said, that's a big difference, right? It's helping local restaurants. Right now, we work closely with the Bluebird, BVR, Black Wolf, Smokehouse, and The Vista are a few restaurants. Also Curry Mantra. So we work fairly closely with all those restaurants. Son of a Chef from time to time. The new Jamaican place in town, Topville, occasionally. Just pretty much anywhere anybody wants to order from, we go and pick it up, whether it be on Marketplace or any restaurant they want or their favorite coffee shop. We go and just grab pretty much whatever anything anybody wants.
That's great. I mean, again, I'm sure all these local restaurants appreciate it, and I mean the customers too, especially getting access to the great food. But I mean, the restaurants definitely, like when you're not taking a cut off them. I mean, I know the province was trying to introduce some form of cap for the delivery companies on the like charging the restaurants. But I mean, still, I mean, the fact again that you're not taking it off of their end is a great thing, especially during even normal times, but now more than ever. Because I mean, again, we all know how tough it is for them right now with reduced traffic and no in-person seating.
Yeah, I didn't realize when I started out how much like our service would help out the restaurants and stuff like that. But I've just been reaching out as much as I can to the local restaurants and saying, hey, yeah, we can deliver for you, right? Let's keep your business going and let's get you out there and get your food out to the people, right? So
yeah. And I mean, and again, this goes back to like to your service. Like, there's a lot of people that are just staying home because they can't go out. Or they're trying their best to not go out. What again? Like some of them have real severe issues that they can't risk going out. So I mean, you're really helping these people out so that they can still get good, delicious food, and again, allow them to help support local.
Even groceries, like we'll do pickups at Walmart and Zehrs and stuff like that. Or if people need it more immediately, we'll go out and we'll do the shop for them and get it to them that way, right? So
wow, that's great. Because I mean, hey, groceries too. Because I mean, there's a lot of people that still love to cook, and I mean, again, they aren't comfortable going out, or again, they can't. So I mean, that's awesome. I mean, you're helping a lot of people out, like not just again, I mean, people on both sides, like, and again, people that really need it, which is great. So I can understand how you do feel fulfilled doing what you're doing, because I mean, you really are helping a lot of people, and I think I don't need to tell you that. You probably hear it every day. So, but
yeah.
But yeah, so what do you think customers should look for when doing business with somebody in your profession?
Like I said a little earlier, we try and keep tight communication, try and get things there timely and fulfill our promises, right? We do our cleanliness protocols, right? We keep everything as clean as we can. We sanitize our bags and our machines, our devices, and things like that. Yeah. When I did work at that pizza place years ago, the one thing that sort of impressed me, and it's sort of my motto to try and give to my customers, is when I ordered from this pizza place, it was at my door in like 25 minutes. I know this isn't realistic all the time, but just like to try and just get things there in a timely fashion is one of my biggest things, but also safe, right?
And actually, that is something I was going to mention before, and I'm glad you brought it up because it slipped my mind, is that with a lot of these places now, with these apps where essentially they're just, I don't know the hiring practices, but it's like, I don't know how much experience these people have doing deliveries, like to do deliveries for these apps. But when you're doing it, it sounds like you do have experience. And I mean, again, delivering pizza, you have to be on, like, there's a time to that.
Yeah, I got a bit of a funny story. Like when I first started out, it was before, like with the pizza delivery, not with Ill Gofer It. I thought I knew Orangeville. I started out and I'm doing my first couple deliveries, and like I found myself, I'm like, oh my God, it was like, luckily it was summer and there's people walking around. I'm like, hey, do you know where this street is? Right? We're in a town where I sort of grew up, like in Mona Mills, just 15 minutes outside of town. I thought I knew the town until I jumped into this and I was like, oh wow, maybe I don't know like the town as well as I thought I did. Right. So I actually was working the full-time job back then. So it was before GPS time. I took the Orangeville directory and I actually wrote every single street in Orangeville down and how to get to it from the pizza place. Take this street to that street to that street, and sort of mapped it all out for myself, right? But since there's been new streets added along the way, GPS has come along and made it a lot easier, right? But I rarely have to go to the GPS because I've been doing delivery in town probably for 20 years now, right? So unless they throw a new street at me, then I can generally pretty much get to it, right?
I've lived in Dufferin my whole life, and I have spent a lot of time in Orangeville. And I mean, even Grand Valley here, it wouldn't take a lot for me to get lost. You need someone that actually has a good sense of direction, and again, a sense of urgency as well, and actually knowing how to get to places and knowing where these things are without having to slap into the GPS, because I mean, that takes time too.
Yeah, and you tend to know also like what customers are willing to wait a little bit longer as well, right? And
Oh, no, I was just going to say, not everything I imagine in your business is urgent, but I mean, it's just, there's people that are inexperienced that are doing these things that don't understand a lot of the things that you've come to understand over the 20 years, I imagine.
Yeah, it's just that. And then like, since I opened this business, right, it's just meeting each customer's needs, right? And everybody is a little bit different. Not everybody is willing to wait as long. And it's sort of managing that, right? And trying to get things to people who need it more urgently. And it's a bit of a juggle, right?
Yeah, managing expectations, I imagine, is pretty difficult. I can only imagine. Again, you're a very customer-facing business, and any business owner can understand what that entails sometimes. But again, it sounds like, again, a lot of people are appreciative of what you do, and you have some interesting stories. So, I mean,
yeah, and likewise along the way, like I'm extremely appreciative of all my customers too, right? And I think that helps in growing, right? I try and show my appreciation where I can. We do a little thing every 1,000th order. We'll do a free delivery, that kind of thing, right? And we just reached our 10,000th delivery.
Congrats.
Struggling with that a little bit. So, and we did a bit of a giveaway there, $50 gift cards. Not much, but just a little give back.
That's awesome. Because I mean, like that's really great to hear. Because I mean, a growing business, and I mean, you're in a competitive industry too. I mean, I'm getting notifications on my phone all the time telling me to use Uber Eats, and I don't think, and giving me like free coupons for Uber Eats. And I don't think Uber Eats is even in my area.
So, and that's where I think we're a little bit more personal that way. We will reach out to those areas. And growing up in the small town that I did, I was actually on a horse farm for a little bit when I was 16, and we were kind of stranded out there if we didn't have a car. And I guess all that was around then was Dial-A-Bottle.
Yeah.
Like for my roommates that I lived with, they would call up Dial-A-Bottle, and that was the closest thing to any kind of delivery service, I guess, right?
Yeah, 100%.
There's nothing like, couldn't get groceries delivered or anything like that back then. So it's just, an idea that's rolled around my head for some time, and then the stars finally aligned, and then I was like, yeah, it's time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And each day I get up, right? Like, I'm not sure everybody is a morning person, but once I hit the road, I feel like I'm in my element. I'm glad I'm doing what I'm doing.
That's great. So actually, that should lead me to ask one of the questions. Like, so what hours do you operate?
We're open 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. every day.
Oh, wow. That's great hours. I can't imagine who wouldn't love that. I mean, that's awesome. That's great. And I mean, is it 7 days a week or?
7 days a week, 8 a.m. till 11. So it hasn't been too much rest. Let's put it that way. We opened up September 2019. So we're just almost a year and a half in business, and I can't complain at all. It's been constant growth, probably a heck of a lot more than I ever imagined at this stage of the game.
That's great to hear. I mean, again, like that's a growing business is always great to hear about, but especially one that's really helping people. I think, again, we can all appreciate what you're doing for everybody right now, because I mean, it's needed. It's definitely needed. Accessibility is key right now, and you're bringing that to people for sure. So beyond complying with health orders, what changes has Ill Gofer It had to make to adapt to the new environment?
Like at the grocery stores and stuff like that, we've sort of had to adjust with the lineups and stuff like that. It's made it a little bit difficult if we have to do a grocery order. But we found the times, I guess, where we can go in a little easier. Like we try and get out first thing in the morning to knock off the grocery orders, but don't back down if they come in later. You know, we'll still follow through and get the orders done. And then, just keeping on top of the cleanliness and stuff like that to, make sure we're delivering safe product.
Are people able to place orders ahead of time, or like a recurring order for like groceries or something like that?
Yeah, we have some. They'll come in by email. We have one customer, she'll send us in an email of her grocery list, sometimes like a 75 item list that we have to go in and grab. Other times, I just ask people, I'll take a phone call from somebody, and then I just get them to send me a quick text message. So it's all there in black and white. There's no mistaking what they've ordered. And that's basically the way we operate there. They can pre-order, the day before. It's helpful, but not 100% necessary. We try to keep enough people on the road that we can still make it happen.
Do you mind me asking how many people you have on the road?
Right now, we're up to 6 drivers plus myself, and looking to add a 7th.
Congratulations! Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Thank you. Yeah, we have 4 debit machines. We're adding a 5th debit machine, and that could quickly grow to 6 or 7 to have all the drivers equipped properly.
Wow, man! That congrats! Like that's awesome. Like I'm really glad to hear that. Glad they're keeping you busy. I mean, enough for yourself. I mean, no wonder you're doing 10,000 orders. I mean, it's hard for me to comprehend, especially in a year and a half. Like that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, no wonder you're not doing it. Like that would be impossible. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some juggling now, especially on like Fridays and Saturday nights with the restaurant orders. And because we cover such a wide span, there was one night, I think we had 2 going into Grand Valley, 1 into Shelburne, 1 into Mona Mills, and just like all at the same time, right? That time slot between 5 and 6 to 7 o'clock when that dinner rush is going on, it gets a little crazy to juggle that one.
I can only imagine, because again, it's you service a lot of things, and that's when everyone's getting home, or like when everyone's getting off the work mode.
And I think that's also what makes us different from the competition, right? Is that we're so versatile like that, where we do the restaurants, the groceries, marketplace items, just anything anybody wants delivered, right? And that would be our biggest thing that sets us apart from the competition.
That is great, because again, that helps all sorts of local businesses around here. And again, keeps a lot of things accessible for people that aren't able to go out. So I'll keep saying it over and over again. But I mean, I really appreciate that. And I'm sure a lot of people in our community can too. And a lot of your customers do, and the businesses. So what was the biggest problem you experienced with Ill Gofer It during COVID?
Again, I guess the biggest problem would have been the lineups, right? Like not being able to get into the stores as quickly as we would like to. So then we sort of pushed more towards the online shopping and the pickup. But over the last, I guess, 3 weeks to a month, the online shopping where we do the pickups has developed a lot more as well, right? So we've come up against lineups in Walmart where there's 20 vehicles waiting for their online order, right? And recently that's been our biggest problem to have to deal with there, because there was one night we waited 3 hours for an order, right? As they try and work through their increasing demand as well, right? So their increase has become our sort of problem to work through as well, right? So then like maybe it's better now that we go in and do the shop for you, because we can get in, we can get out a lot quicker than now the lineups at Walmart on the online ordering, right?
100%. I mean, that is something they still haven't seemed to have worked out all the kinks of yet. It's not something they've really had a lot of expertise in the past. I mean, it's all learning for all of us for sure. I mean, there's a lot of volume, I think, going through Walmart, and there's a lot of people that want to do the online ordering. Because I mean, that is a recurring story I hear, is the wait times there. They don't have the system worked out, like the process worked out at like.
Yeah, it's something nobody anticipated, right? For it to grow like that. So
yeah, and I don't think head office is investing enough resources into actually figuring it out, and maybe not enough parking spaces dedicated.
Yeah, they're trying to work that out. They have 20 stations set up, but that grew overnight as well, right? For them, it grew from 8 spaces where there would only be maybe three cars there. And I would sometimes even just pull right up to the garage and say, hey, I'm at your garage door, right? Well, now that's grown from 8 spaces where there was only 3 people to 20 full spaces, right? So it's a lot on their staff as well, right? And everybody's trying to do their best. And yeah, I don't find any fault in anybody. It's just I have to sit in for those 1 hour to 3 hour waits and send my drivers on to somebody else, right? And kind of bite the bullet myself on that one.
Yeah. There's a Timmy's over there at least.
Yeah, yeah, true. I have to be better prepared when I go. I was thinking, actually, as I was sitting there the one time, I was thinking like if they had like a drive-in type of movie screen, right, where you could maybe watch a movie while you wait.
We need more of those around town.
No, you wouldn't mind the wait so bad, right? You,
definitely not.
Take your date down to Walmart and wait for your groceries.
So when you were younger, did you think you'd be doing this?
No, when I was younger, I don't know, a fireman, a policeman, and all that fades, right?
Yeah.
And then, I've always sort of been into music. So I had a dream of, being a musician one day and retiring at 30, but that's come and gone. So
Did you play anything?
I play a little bit of guitar and write music a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah. So in my spare time, I try to do a little bit of that.
I think I saw a video you singing too on video. You're singing in the car. It's fun.
Yeah, well, that was a long drive to Hillsburg and I got bored, I guess.
Make sure you follow him on social media, guys. Now, so did you have any role models or positive influences growing up?
Yeah, I had a lot. I was actually, when I was 2.5 years old, I was actually adopted. So I grew up in Brampton, Heart Lake Nurseries. My grandfather founded that, like through my adoptive parents. He founded that business, and then my adoptive mom and dad sold that when I was about 7 years old, and then that's when we moved to Mona Mills. They have always been great with me. My adoptive mom and dad, brothers and sisters. I have brothers and sisters through them, and then when I was 25 years old, I actually found my biological mother and father. And for me, everything sort of worked out, right? Like my adoptive parents were always supportive of me finding my biological mom and dad, and my biological mother had always told my half brothers and sisters, which I found out I had, she always told them that they did have another brother out there somewhere. So for me, it all came full circle, and I got closure when I did find them. Found out I had 3 half sisters and a half brother through my biological mother, and everybody like all around was a positive influence, right? She had made the right decision to give me up and to tell my half brothers and sisters like about me. So for me, my story came together perfectly, right? And I couldn't have asked for better adoptive parents to have been raised by. So for me, it worked out. Whereas for some, it's not always that great of a story, right?
100%. I mean, that is definitely like positive influences with some positive outcomes. That's great to hear. And now you're doing positive things in the community too.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I'd say you're succeeding. I mean, man, you got 10,000 orders. You got people on the road. Like you're making things accessible for people. Like it's a great story. And I mean, like it's a competitive industry too. I know, like I'm quite aware of what you're going up against. And again, like I want to emphasize, it's like you're helping the small businesses quite a bit here by not taking the cut off their end.
I kind of, as you talk about positive influences, I guess competition was sort of in my adoptive family. My older sister, she actually went to the Olympics for field hockey, right? So positive influences, yeah, she would definitely be one of my positive influences and put that competitive bone in my body, I guess. So I don't shy away from the competition, I guess. Just keep on working harder, right? When the competition gets me down, I usually grab 300 business cards off my desk and I go out and deliver. Just keep working, right?
That's awesome. Because I mean, that's what you need to do. I mean, these guys are marketing like crazy, and it's great because again, like 10,000 orders in a year and a half. I mean, that's a lot of distance.
Yeah, I started out with maybe a handful of customers, right? And it's been constant growth, right? I'd bump into a friend or somebody in the community, and it pass the card along here and there. I've had a lot of help from a friend who sort of pushed me into the social media aspect of things, where like I would have not been able to develop the way we have without her. She's really done a lot of work in that area. She pushed me into the Facebook thing. I was like, no, I'm just going to do word of mouth and, business cards and stuff like that. And she finally made me take that leap into social media. And it's been really, really a helpful tool.
I can imagine. I mean, I would think it was vital. And I mean, I know what you're saying, word of mouth. And I mean, I would think that's more personal, but I mean, I would say social media does help you, especially like from what I've seen, it helps you in particular keep in good connection with your people. it's great to see, because I mean, it's important to use social media to your advantage, because I mean, you're going to be on there whether or not, especially in your business, but it's important that you actually are taking part in it.
The one thing I do have a hard time is where in the beginning I used to be more personal with my customers, and now because it's grown so much, it's hard to reach all of them, right? Where I would like to reach them. That's a bit of a hard thing for me, and letting go, I guess, right? And taking the step back and not being able to reach all the customers the way I would like to, spend a bit more time with them or whatnot, right? Because the ones that were there for me in the beginning, right?
Exactly. I mean, that's a problem with growing in any business. I mean, you want to keep those connections, again, especially the ones that stood by you at the beginning, but it's hard to manage that on top of like trying to actually build upon what they helped you build. Like, I mean, if you don't actually take advantage of it, then like it's a hard thing to balance. Like I think for any business person, especially when they become exceptionally busy in a short amount of time, like you have.
Yeah.
Very hard.
Yeah. The month of April, I think 2020, we sort of doubled business overnight. So it's been a constant trying to adjust to that constant growth, right? So far, I think we're managing all right. And we're almost at a point where we've got to step up the game again, right? And add and yeah.
That's great. Because I mean, again, we need stories like this right now. So I mean, that's great to hear. So where was your first job and what did you do?
My first job, my actual first job, I guess I went across the road to my neighbors, to be honest with you, and shoveled their walkways. And in the summer, I think they had about 140 trees. I had to go out with the hedge clippers and snip around those and maintain their property and that kind of thing. I remember weeding their garden one day and walked home afterwards, and my dad said, "You're done already?" I was like, yeah, I'm done. He's like, well, let's go take a look, right? So we walked across the road, and my father worked for the Woodbridge Conservation Area. So that was kind of his thing, planting trees and gardening and that kind of thing. So he looks down at the garden, and he's like, Brandon, there's a weed there, and there's a weed there, and there's a weed there. He goes, if you're going to do a job, Brandon, do it right, right? And so I kind of took that story along with me, and that one kind of stuck with me, right? Like, if you're going to do a job, do it right. And then from there, I went on to a thoroughbred horse farm and worked there when I was 16. And we were responsible for about 78 to 80 racehorses out there. And then we had to clean the stalls and all the basic farm work, and then developed into the owner. Actually came up to me one day and she's like, Brandon, you're a good size to be riding these horses. Would you be interested in jumping up on some of them, right? And I was like, well, yeah, okay, sure, why not? And then before you know it, she trained me on a Clydesdale type horse, and then the second horse I was on was a thoroughbred racehorse who had already been to the track and was in retraining. And then we went on to breaking the yearlings, and for some of these horses I was the first one up on their back and stuff like that. So it was just man versus beast. There's not much greater feeling than that. It was as being on top of their back, right? And I really enjoyed that. One day I'd like to maybe get back into that. Maybe not the thoroughbreds, but took some bumps and bruises along the way with that. I was had a few kicks from them and pushed around a bit. I was down at the racetrack one day and got kicked actually right there in the forehead. Got 25 stitches from one of the horses who's trying to eat, and he says, no, I don't want any part of this. You're not pulling me out right now. So he knocked me down, but not out. So
wow, like you've been done a lot. Like you've been like, wow, you've quite like the experience. You seem like you have a lot of stories, and everyone, all the stories you've probably gained through this. Like, I mean, the one about like, the one when you just like around when you first started about like bringing the champagne. That's a great one.
Yeah. There's been a lot along the way, that's for sure. Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Every day is a new day, and I think that's what I like about it, right? New interactions every day.
I can't imagine. It probably does not get boring.
Sometimes a little too interesting, right?
I can only imagine. So you started I'll Go For It yourself, correct?
Yes.
And what was your biggest challenge in starting it?
Making the decision to start I guess would probably be the biggest decision. And then from there, developing the name and logo, and that they started out like just trying to talk with a few people to get going to see if, they would be interested in my service. And then from there, getting the logo hashed out took a little bit of time and finding the proper name. And in the end, we did go for Ill Gofer It. It was actually the name that I presented 7 years ago to the government when I was looking at doing this. I sort of came back to that original name. And the reason being, it's kind of like a three-way play on words, right? You have the animal, the gopher. And there's a company, Gopher, right? I'll go for this, I'll go for that. And then there's I'll go for it, right? So this kind of just works. And when you put that card in people's hands, they kind of appreciate it, and they like the name as well, right? So that part has worked out really well.
Yeah, the name and the logo are great. I think you've done a great job with that. Like it's awesome because I think people get exactly what you do, and it's also fun. So
yeah, right off the bat, they get it.
Exactly. It's not like Uber where like it's a German word, and then skip the dishes. And it's like, okay, well, we really, like, everyone knows what that is now, but like at first glance, no one's going to really know what that really means. Is it like an environmental thing? Like, is it eco-friendly dishware? Like, I don't know.
I had a guy with me one time. He got my card in his hand, and he's like, "I'll go for it." He goes, "Yeah, well, this pretty much tells the tale. I'm going with the guy who's going to go for it." Right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
No, yeah. So, and I think it kind of like sets it up perfectly because like you seem like to be kind of like a get it done kind of guy, and I think that kind of is also represented in the name too. And I think people appreciate that again versus some of these other names that are a little bit more convoluted. And again, your name's fun. I like your name, and I think other people do too. So yeah. So do you have any advice for those starting their own business?
You got to be ready to work hard, right? Like in the last year and a half, I haven't really stopped a whole lot, right? And it's now after a year and a half, it's starting to pay off, right? And just put in the time, and it will pay off eventually. And I think we're sort of starting to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. We've had a lot of bumps along the way and trying to work things out, but the hard work in the end and complete dedication to what you're doing and be passionate about what you're doing, right? If you're going to choose a business, don't just do it to go into business. Do it because your heart is there, right? Because that's what's going to carry you through in the end.
100%. You got to do something you actually care about, or else you're just going to fizzle out and or end it. But yeah. So have you exceeded your own original goals for I'll Go For It at this stage?
I would say definitely have exceeded my goals. Yeah.
I'd hope so.
But I always kind of tell my drivers and anybody coming on board with us that the sky really is the limit with what we're doing here, right? Like I don't think there's too much limit. Like there's new stuff like that comes up every day, right? And there's always going to be, something else that we could add to it that would make us more diverse. And yeah, the sky's the limit, I think.
That's awesome. I think that's true because there's more and more people looking for these services, and again, a more personal touch, and one and people are more conscious of what this is costing the businesses that they're helping out here. People are becoming more and more aware of it. I'm seeing it on social media. Even just this weekend, I saw some stuff about it in the local groups, which is great.
Yeah, there is a local group that has really helped restaurants and myself helped myself out quite a bit, almost overnight. Yeah, it's starting to snowball again. We're taking another step with that local group.
Do you mind saying the name of the group, if you don't mind, or is it okay?
Skip the App, I believe, is the name of the group.
See, that's the one I saw on the weekend.
So it's fairly new. Like, yeah, she just approached me, I guess, about it, and I think it's gonna help us out a lot.
I hope so, because I saw it, and like the first thing I thought was of you guys. I'm like, I really hope that you guys are involved in it, and I'm glad that you are. I'm glad so that's great because it shows that people they do care, and it matters. Delivery costs money. Never mind what it costs money. These guys aren't Amazon. They can't just take it. Like they can't just take it. Like they actually have to pay taxes. So, are you looking forward to anything in the near future?
Just to be able to maintain what we've built up to this point. I don't want to get to a point where I start to disappoint, right? So So we're going to have to maybe find some new ideas to not be overwhelmed. We may have to come up with just some better ideas to make it run smooth, without losing that personal touch with people. That's one of the big things that I preach on to anybody working with us, is that I don't ever really want to lose that personal touch, right? There's nothing worse than calling up one of the local phone companies for them to say, well, we'll get back to you in 2 hours, or just not having that personal touch anymore, right? Where you can't pick up the phone and actually talk to a person. I want to always never get away from that type of personal touch with people and communication, right?
100%. Like you've scaled up quickly, and I mean it's very easy to lose sight of that. Very easy, especially the longer you get into business. But I mean, it's great that you're keeping that front of mind, because if you lose that, then you might as well just become a big business. Yeah. What's the difference? Yeah. And I mean, maybe some people do want to have a big business, but I mean, there's nothing really technically wrong with that. But you're 100% right. The personal touch is the key point here. And I mean, as long as you can keep that, that's great. Because again, it's impressive how fast you've scaled up. I mean, it just shows how much is needed in the community. And again, it's not like you don't have any competition. You do. And again, people advertising to me that don't even operate here. Like, I'm getting free coupons, right? Uber Eats, like twice a week. So it's like, what is this? It's frustrating, especially when I live in Grand Valley. It's like, it's just mean. But
well, we'll be glad to come to you anytime you want.
Awesome.
Tell all your friends.
I don't have any. So is there anything you'd like to say to the people of Dufferin before we wrap it up?
Just a big thank you for getting us to this point would be it. And we look forward to meeting more of you.
So yeah, the best way to get in touch.
You can give us a call on our telephone number, 519-288-4654. We're on Facebook, Instagram. We can take orders through Messenger as well on Facebook. We prefer it through the phone number because it's more direct and we see that quicker and we can respond quicker. Yeah, via text message. Give us a quick call to check our wait time, and then send us a detailed text message with your name, your order, and your address afterwards. And then it's all there in black and white for us, and we'll jump on it from there. That's super easy. So yeah, so social media like Facebook and Instagram, and then your phone number, 519-288-4654. And that's preferred one. So 519-288-4654. Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Brandon. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, Josh. Appreciate your time. Well, again, everybody, that was Brandon Casey of I'll Go For It, which you can find at illgoferit.ca. I'm Josh McEwen, and thank you for listening to Dufferin Spotlight on Business. Thanks. All right, everybody. That's it for this episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business, and hope you enjoyed it. Big thanks to Brandon for helping make this possible, and thanks to you, the audience, for listening. To keep up with everything that's going on with I'll Go For It, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and check out their website, illgoferit.ca. If you would like to learn more about the people and businesses that make Dufferin what it is, make sure to look out on Tuesdays for new episodes of Dufferin Spotlight on Business. The easiest way to stay up to date is to follow us on social media, subscribe to the Dufferin Spotlight YouTube channel, or wherever else you prefer to listen. We're available on Spotify, or we're available on pretty much every podcast platform, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. If there is somewhere else where you'd like to listen and we're not on it, please let us know through our website, and we'll do our best to make it happen. If you haven't checked out our last episode, it was with Laura Bryan Kirk and Graham Bryan of Bryan's Fuel. If you've been in Dufferin for any significant length of time, you're already quite likely aware of Bryan's Fuel. I mean, it's been around for almost 100 years, which is pretty amazing. And even better, Laura and Graham are the daughter and son of Roy Bryan, meaning they are the fourth generation of Bryans in the business. This long-standing family company has grown from providing fuels, home heating, and comfort products, in addition to annual maintenance and emergency services, to those just in Dufferin, and is now servicing Collingwood and Simcoe as well. As much as you may think you may know about Bryan's Fuel, I'm sure you will learn something from listening to this one. I know I did from taking part in it, and I grew up in Dufferin. To learn more about Bryan's Fuel, check out their website, bryansfuel.on.ca. That's bryansfuel.on.ca, and follow them on social media. If there's a local business you would like to see on Dufferin Spotlight on Business, be sure to reach out and let us know. Also, be sure to check out Dufferin News. Anyways, I'm Josh McEwen. Thank you for listening, and until next time, get to know your community and shop local. Thanks.